Hello and welcome to the frequency weather of this week, the upcoming week. I'm Petra Elze-Jekel. On Creativity TV I will be sharing from now on the personal, let's say my experience after I did the frequency card reading with my manifestation cards for entrepreneurs in the Facebook group that we together have. And the Facebook group, it's called Creative Entrepreneurs Sharing Their Heart's Mission. And you're very welcome there to join us with creativity, lifestyle-less lifestyle, tools, methods and heartfelt support. You can all get there freely and share with each other. But after I did my Sundays frequency cards, a frequency weather with the manifestation cards, I have to say, then I will be sharing here the general feeling that I get from that afterwards. Last week I did it in Dutch and English. This one I will be doing in English fully, and I hope that's alright. So we had a very interesting situation because this morning I was meditating and feeling that we were actually going to get the card time, and it did. And I'm just shuffling and getting one card out spontaneously at that very moment. It's a live video that I do, so it just happens. And there's 75, no, I say it the wrong way around. 57, that was a funny mistake. 57 cards, so I mean that was cool. So the card time came, and this is actually my first version of the card set. It's quite boring and it doesn't really look very good, but the second card set was sort of better, but they're sold out. And the third version I'm just in the course of redoing, and they're like halfway done now. So these are two small examples of what I'm doing now with it, and they're in Dutch now. They will also be in English, and I have my work cut out for me, let's put it like that, because there's a lot of work to be done, and even these are just halfway, you know. Anyway, so time, so a lot of it, the message came down to that we're invited for next week to feel into if we're time conscious, and that has to do with limits and with putting yourself maybe on a sobering step of, are you in fact not only connected to your soul in every moment, but also to where you are in the actual field of the world, your business, your life, your daily life, your organized and planned world. So can you connect those two? And wow, I mean, that is the true big question, isn't it? Can we connect those two? Because we are looking for freedom, and I mean, we should, especially in these times in which we are a human being in the world, on the earth, in the universe, at this specific time frame that we're in now. You are so incredibly called to free yourself up from the inside out, to give your creative contribution to the world. I mean, if you don't feel that, then I'm wondering, you know, where have you been or something, you know, because life is just grabbing you on all areas. And I feel, and I know that a lot of people feel that, but it could also be that you're still waking up in that, and it could even be that it's you are a tool to wake other people up. So, and not by waking them up by shaking them on the shoulder, hey, come on, just do it. No, because it wouldn't work. By being you and setting an example as being you, and for instance in time management. So that's a very funny approach maybe to waking other people up, by waking first yourself up to time management, especially since we're again longing for freedom, and time management seems to be not freedom, but it is. It truly is. Because freedom, of course, the core of it, you know, the core of life, of the life-giving force that we're connected to with through our souls, is the freedom itself, of course. But we have a human life to experience, and time gives us the opportunity to experience. What else could us possibly give the opportunity, the sheer opportunity to have moment for moment the space, the time space to roll your feelings out and feel into what it means to you, being a human, having this freedom as a core, what it means to you in this moment, and how that feels for you, and how that plays out for you in a feeling sense, and also through that in a situational and relational sense. So let's say you are talking to your colleague in your next time frame, or your co-worker or your client, and time is also an indicator of how valuable your time together is, because when you say on the end of that, you know, like, oh, time's up and we're going to change again and I will see you later and thank you so much, you give yourself and the other person the opportunity to value your time, to value your time together as well, by making also the other people conscious of that there is a beginning and an end. And when it ended, you maybe wake up, or that other person may be waking up like, oh my god, oh, so this was our time together, isn't it? Oh, so I had to be consciously aware of what we were sharing in that time, because now I missed it. And it could be a means in which you also pass that true soul value of life onto the other person. So that could be a nice spreading the word message, and spreading the word method, I wanted to say, which is quite funny. And while I say that, I mean, I realized that I made that happened to me yesterday, because a client didn't show up, and then after a couple of minutes I called him up, like, what's going on? Is there a problem? Is there a train delay or something? No, he was still at home and didn't think of the appointment at all. But I was sitting there prepared with all the papers in front of me of his work, and I made notes, and I was full of it, you know, I was completely ready. The coffee, because he drinks coffee, I don't anymore, was already made, and it was warm and cooking and steaming and ready, and I spent my time preparing, and yeah. So that was kind of a shock to him as well, and that he missed it all, and then he said, you know, let's reschedule, and then we looked a bit into it, but yeah, that would take another weeks for him to get over here, because he lives quite far away. And for me as well, I mean, this was the time I scheduled, this was my valuable, you know, place that I prepared, and I was prepared in that moment. And yeah, maybe I was not prepared to prepare myself again, you know, because it's a very specific thing that we were going to share that moment. So, and then we decided on, we still had 1 hour after that whole episode and talking about how to deal with it. And then after that we still had 1 hour, and we decided to share that 1 hour by Skype and do the bare minimum of what we were supposed to talk about. And we managed, and yeah, who knows? I value my time better now, having had this experience, and maybe he also does with mine or himself. it could be. It's just a matter of that now this aspect is highlighted because apparently we have to talk about it today. Yeah. I tried to adjust my time schedule for almost 2 years to my new state of being, to my new economy induced business. And I wanted to get up real early and meditate and then prepare my day and take good care of me, and then having the first client when I was fully immersed in my soul and went through that soul door in my experience, and my day would fold open for me and the first client would come in and I would be fully present for him or her, and then the next and the next, and then I would be having a break, and oh, I thought it would be so great, and just running 3 times a week, which I did a lot, by the way, not at this point, but I just couldn't do it, and now I understand that I was just very afraid of this new schedule and planning. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't even get up early, you know. I just couldn't, and it got worse and worse. And now I see that I just couldn't do it because I was afraid of the actual soul experience that I was gonna lay down in that time. And that was also my idea of being the one to having this full soul experience while working within those time frames. I mean, that was the whole idea, isn't it? And I was so incredibly afraid of it, and that's why I couldn't reschedule. Well, I rescheduled, but I couldn't do it. So if you can't, just maybe look into that if you're afraid. If you're afraid of what you're gonna really specifically say, what your heart wants to say when you open yourself to true soul connected time management, what will come out of you when you commit to it, could be very much the case. So, and today we also learned that we have to, by this card, that we have to mourn the loss of the images that we're letting go of ourselves when we go in that direction. And that's what I had to do as well. I remember struggling with self-images maybe from early on, especially in my teens, but I remember in my very early 20s, then I was hyper conscious of it, that there were so many roles that I was having and playing that I could do, and sometimes I also could do very well in life. I was a student, I was the poet of the university of that year, like the poet laureate. I was a journalist at the university paper. I was writing about creativity and art. No surprise, isn't it? And that very university paper was the organizer of the poet laureate as well. So then I experienced that all these identities were intermingled in a way that I actually couldn't grasp it, or had the feeling that I had to grasp it and that I couldn't, and that really bothered me. And I was invited in all kinds of occasions and networking areas, and I didn't understand if I was going to be there as a poet or as the poet laureate or as just me, or as me as the girlfriend of my boyfriend, who was also a writer, with whom I also had a lot of image problems, because was he the writer or was I the writer? You know, the important writer, the important literary author. But anyway, back to the poet laureate thing, etc. And as a student, or was I there as the journalist from that paper that I was writing for? Oh my God, I mean, and I made this whole fuss about it, and it's just, it was a sort of a mind thing, of course. I mean, it just meant that I was in those moments, at least, really not attached or really not feeling my soul core being, you know, my energy, my frequency. That's what the frequency weather is about. So we may mourn that again, or even more, or especially the new ones that we can mourn this week. We will. More images to let go, and roles are always images. You can be a mother or a sister or a daughter or a friend or a professional, but those are all roles that you play, but you are you, and your soul core frequency is just always the unique you. And do you allow that to be fully beaming out of you and present in all these moments, in just this forever moment that you're still going to divide in slices to heighten your time consciousness and heighten the aspect of being your full soul essence every moment. That's what time can do. Yeah, it can. And that's also another mistake that we make a lot, and that I also made. That we think time is our enemy when we're still in the world of emotion, psychology, mentality, the world, your work, like the old-fashioned mind frame of society in which you have to work for money and it's difficult and you have to do it until you die. That's where time is sort of our enemy, isn't it? But we have to pass to maybe to the more spiritual side of the world, in which we, or of our experience, I have to say, in which we experience our energy, and everything is an energy. And then a whole world of new phenomena might come up, and you might lose yourself in that one pretty much. And then you have to sober down, and then we just go a bit more in that direction even, and then you understand that true spirituality is world everything and you and your experience into one, and then sobering down from it and leaving all the illusions of both worlds. The world, the spiritual, energetic world, and then sobering down all the images from both of them. Man, and then we just get to these moments in which we are invited to make contact with the real reality, just reality, how it is, and the imperfectness and of it, and your faults in it, and your mistakes, and that are just true, you know, and your images in your head that you still have, and just the habit of creating them again and again and again. I mean, that's what I do, that's what I talk about with my spiritual guidance person that I talk with at least once in a month. And with her we do it for the last 10 years now. Very nice. Yeah. Just letting go of images. And that's where we get to, yeah, it's in that card. Then we get to what really appears, what comes out of the egg that the moment is, as a new light appearing in your environment. That's where you get them. And you will experience, I guess, a bit next week what that might be for you. Let me know what that may be for you, and all your questions and thoughts about this frequency weather, leave them in the comments below. So thank you so much for joining. See you next week.